You know, I really don't like composite characters. Hey, what's up, nerd fam? This is your boy Gashan. I want to welcome you to Enter the Nerd. Today, we talk about episodes 2 and 3 of the Disney Plus series, Loki. I was going to do one right after 2, but I figured some of the narrative would have been expanded a bit more, especially when it comes to the female Loki as we've been shown in episode 3. And it did. And it was surprising in a way that kind of made me do one of those, like, forehead palm slaps, because I just don't understand why they do certain things. But starting off with episode 2, it had a bit of a Mindhunters feel, a mystery. What was the motivations behind the variant? Loki pretty much tracking himself and helping the TVA track them down. Also showing like a bit of the depravity of the other Loki and what they were doing with the TVA members, especially the one that they captured. Also being able to show more of the banter between Loki and Mobius. And maybe even hinting at some things not being what they're supposed to be. Now, there's some spoilers here, spoilers, not just for possible future stuff, but if you haven't watched any of these episodes. Now, the TVA in the comics, they're mostly clones. That's really what they are, right? In episode 3 hints at something towards this, not necessarily clones, but them just not being what Mobius says they are. And you can kind of see that throughout episode 2, these timekeepers, they're so ambiguous, but no one can be able to talk to them. Stuff like that. Even when you watch Loki go out on that mission with them, and he's like, "Oh, just let me talk to the people and talk to the timekeepers. Now I'll help." He tries to trick them to thinking that the Loki is outside. And you understand like it's just like this carrot being dangled over everyone's head. So where did I start having now, mind you, I was not really interested in this series. I said that in the first one, but where did I actually start having some serious issues here? I already knew that they were going to do some weird stuff with the Asgardians. But as soon as they introduced the other Loki, the variant, and it being like a female Loki, I go, okay, we have a problem here, because in the comic, and now people are like, but that's the comic, but it's just better. I'm gonna say it like this, it's just better for now. Whereas this Loki, the female Loki, really isn't a variant, it's actually him. Now after pretty much Ragnarok happens in the comics and the Asgardians die, they get reincarnated. And he gets reincarnated in this female body. He even becomes like Scarlet Witch at some point. He joins Norman Osborn's Dark Avengers. A whole bunch of really cool stuff happens while he's in this body, because it is actually him. But what it turns out is he got reincarnated in the wrong body. He got reincarnated in Lady Sif's body. So if they have gone with that, they actually would have gave Sif something to do, which is also, they chose that body in the comic because since it was the whole dark hair thing, it really does look like more of a female Loki, right? Now, in this, I remember I first saw her, I'm like, she's blonde. She doesn't really look like Loki besides the whole green thing. And I'm going, something about this is a little off. And then in episode 3, when they say her name and everything, I'm like, now I know why this is off. Because she's not Loki at all. She's the Enchantress. And not just the original Enchantress, because the original Enchantress is somebody named AMORA, but SYLVIE is one that Loki actually creates. Like, he models her after AMORA in the comic books. So it's like, so you combined female Loki with the character Enchantress, not even the original Enchantress, but like a lesser known Enchantress. Why do that? Why didn't you just, I don't understand these decisions that Marvel does. Like, why not just, why wasn't Enchantress already in the MCU, right? Because Scourge was there, right? That Carl Urban played. They are intrinsically connected in the comics. But now we've combined female Loki, which is actual Loki, but it's reincarnated, and after that, he turns into a kid, right? Because apparently, like, he broke some cycle where he can't, whatever. We'll talk about that in a whole other video. But the whole point is, it's not a variant. It's actually him. And pretty much, by them doing this, they kind of erase all the ways where they can include the whole, Norman Osborn and blah, blah. I mean, they can still do that down the way, but it just won't be anything Loki connected. And I was thinking maybe they will do the whole, I think they might still do the whole Scarlet Witch thing, because maybe she'll still channel that god, because that's what they do in the books. Like when Loki becomes a Scarlet Witch, he's channeling that same god that Wanda is channeling in WandaVision that you'll see, and even in the in the comic you'll see that as well. So I'm thinking that's what's going to be the link there. But I'm going, you chose the secondary Enchantress. So this is not even a Loki. This is literally an entirely different character. Why? I really don't like composite characters. I'm going to take a little bit of this character and a little bit of this character to create a mix of the two, rather than having two fully functioning characters to serve two distinct different purposes, which would actually give your universe more variety, and then it'd be different looks in different places and different stories that you can tell. I feel like this is incredibly lazy, and Marvel does it a lot. They're doing it with Shang-Chi. They've done it in... There's so many characters that are literally just mixtures of more than one character, rather than just giving each character their own thing. And I saw this here, and it kind of shook my head. Now, what I did like about episodes, at least, well, 2, they showed, they tried to come on with how much of a genius he is, bringing that part in, and then even had him fighting in episode 3 against, not just against, female Loki or Enchantress, but against some of the other people. But then they reveal at the end of the day, this is the thing that I guess was mind-boggling to me, because I always knew this was something weird. Because I remember I was talking to Everett Taylor about like how strong Asgardians are really supposed to be, and that these TVA people shouldn't be able to even put their hands on him. And then they say pretty much that these are humans, because even in the comics, they're not going to be able to fight Thor like hand to hand, or Loki. They're not going to be able to do that. But in this, they are humans. They pretty much revealed them to be humans, because they remember Mobius was saying, oh, they were just created, and at the end they dropped the bombshell. No, they're not created. They're just variants of other Earths. So we're talking about humans. They're not superpowered at all. So for them to be able to fight Loki outside the TVA without his powers, remember when he first crash landed after the Tesseract, he didn't have a collar on him. Remember, they showed him running through the building, and he's over here not just fighting, but he's stopping buildings from falling without moving his hands. You're not going to be able to fight somebody like that, especially not with a baton. Come on. So they showing like another scale of his powers, which actually don't make some of the things in the beginning even make any sense. They shouldn't have been able to even handle this guy. But, I guess that's me asking for continuity. Silly me, right? When it comes to stuff like that. But yeah, so now they're starting to unravel this mystery, and I guess now Loki's going to have a lot of questions, and we're going to find out that TVA isn't what it really is, and Mobius isn't who he is, which is something that also happens in the comics. But I'm wondering if they're going to connect it to some of the other things, like I mentioned in the first video, Fantastic Four, obviously Kang the Conqueror, and a couple of other things that I mentioned before. So I'm just wondering if it's going to get there. If this had nothing to do with Loki, because here's the thing, my biggest thing is this had a lot to do with source material, right? Like I can't ignore this. These are characters just in the comics before that. It's not doing a very good job for me. Now, if you enjoy this, outside of this, okay, I guess you enjoy a mystery of it. Okay, I guess, but I can't get over the hump of the things that how the mistreatment of these characters are going. I'm gonna watch it because I know that whatever happens here is gonna affect the rest of the MCU going forward. So I gotta see where this is going. Anyways, let me know what you think about this episode. If you're like, oh man, this is amazing, I can't believe this is, or if you're like, yeah, I'm not really digging it, or whatever in between. Just have a conversation about what you think this episode is. And yeah, until then, enter the nerd.